It's Monday afternoon and I just finished my third energy drink, which means it's time for another episode of Stormwatch. Coming up on today's show, there's a new program in town, eProduction. Steve Luttrell sits down with Mark Bergner, the head instructor of this new program, and tells us all about it. And MATC's West Allis campus hosted a domestic violence awareness presentation. Stormwatch's Emma Cortez was there to find out about that. J.R. Witt gives us a little history lesson about the West Allis campus and talks to an alumni of the funeral program. And Matt Kenner visited a club at the West Allis campus that shows students how to take steps towards a healthier lifestyle. David Kay presents an interpretation of the poem Dreamland by Edgar Allan Poe. Stay tuned for that. And finally, I helped an old detective friend solve a murder case last week. That's right, you heard what I said. All this and much more on Stormwatch.
It's Stormwatch with Tanner Burke.
Hello, my children. Today we feature the West Allis campus, a spectacular, sometimes forgotten part of the MATC family. And later on in the show, our guest will be Mr. Pinkney, who is the vice president of the West Allis campus. I look forward to talking with him. Before we get into that, MATC began offering a shiny new program this semester, and it's called eProduction. Let's find out what it's all about.
The eProduction program is a new program here at MATC. It's being offered for the first time this fall, the fall semester of 2013. What eProduction endeavors to do is to train graduates, train students how to use sound production techniques in this new media environment that we're living in to create media for multi-platform delivery. You're seeing it more and more when you do a job search and you look at today's environment, that companies, businesses, TV stations even, are looking to other avenues to monetize, other avenues to distribute content to reach the audience. The audience has complete control with our smartphones, with computers, with tablets, with our ability to access anything at any time. TV stations, broadcast stations don't want to be boxed out of that. And so you see, if you go look at available jobs, you're seeing more and more online content producers, things that are specific for online or for mobile development. And so, eProduction students will have the portfolio and the experience to match the skill set that those businesses and jobs are looking for. Students will be editing their projects on Avid, but they will also get experience working with Final Cut and Adobe Premiere. So there's a good mix of different things that they're going to be involved with, and their different projects that they're going to be working on will gain them experience in those different programs. I would recommend the eProduction program to any student that is looking to enter the media field, that wants to make sure that they're as marketable and well-rounded as possible. Like I said, when you look at the landscape of jobs that are being offered now, there's a lot of places that are looking for somebody that can do a little bit of everything, or looking for somebody that has experience directly with web and mobile. And so when you leave here with an eProduction degree, you're going to leave well-rounded, you're going to leave in a way that's marketable, and that you can hopefully, ideally, slot yourself in any position that you desire.
As you may or may not have noticed, I was in that package, and I'm currently enrolled in that program. It's fantastic, and I highly recommend it for anyone interested in electronic media. The West Allis campus recently hosted an interactive talk about domestic violence for students so they could recognize the signs of an unhealthy relationship. We'll see what students there thought about it, then we'll find out about the origin of the West Allis campus and talk to an alumni of the historic funeral services program. Enjoy.
1 in 4 women may experience domestic violence in their lifetime, but some may be unable to spot the symptoms. MATC's West Allis campus recently hosted an interactive talk to help women recognize the symptoms of an unhealthy relationship and to guide them on what to do. There are only 2 women's shelters in Milwaukee County, the Women's Center and Sojourner Truth Family Peace Center, both located downtown. Counselor Deborah Fields from Sojourner Truth urges students not to ignore the signs of abuse.
A person who is extremely jealous. Many of us experience jealousy, but someone who's extremely jealous, a person who gets angry when you don't take their advice, someone who likes to be in charge all the time. They're in charge of the money decisions. A person who is really into the whole idea of men's and women's role, how a man should be, how a woman should be. The type of abusive behaviors that a lot of people don't consider that would escalate to violence would be the name calling, the yelling and the screaming. People tend to do it so often that they think it's normal. I've even had young people say to me, well, it's normal for couples to fight. Not fight. Argue, yes, but not fight.
College-age women are at the greatest risk to be victims of abuse, and MATC sees the value in providing the information and support necessary to break the cycle of an unhealthy relationship.
It has to start with young people. First and foremost, because they're caught up in it. If they're living in a home where domestic abuse and violence is going on, they're seeing it. And depending on what they're seeing, they're either they have a 50% chance of becoming a victim or a perpetrator themselves.
Because of the sensitive nature of this type of event, recording was not allowed, but attendees expressed the importance of these on-campus events.
It's not just talking about it, it's having the services available on campus towards students who deal with domestic violence.
I think because if there is someone that does need help, they see that there is an effort here, and maybe they might be afraid to come up or forward, but maybe they'll see that there is an active participant and participation here in the school.
I once was a victim of domestic violence myself. Domestic violence has been in my family for a long time, starting with my grandmother, my mother, and me. However, I feel like this cycle has to end, and it ended with me and my family. No one ever deserves to be abused, no matter what.
We operate a 24-hour shelter here at Sojourner Family Peace Center. We also operate a 24-hour hotline that anyone can call to get assistance, to get information. If you're not sure whether or not you're in an abusive or a violent relationship, domestic violence relationship, the best thing you can do is call and get help. You can call our hotline number, 414-933-2722. You can call that number and ask questions to find out whether your relationship is abusive. Or go online. There are many of those tests that you can take to determine, am I in an unhealthy or abusive relationship?
West Allis, Wisconsin, home of Alice Chalmers Tractors, Wisconsin State Fair Park, and Liberace. And since the 1970s, just off 70th and Greenfield, you can find the MATC West Campus. In the 1970s, the West Allis Vocational School wanted to grow and expand. To do so, they combined with Milwaukee Area Technical College and became known as the West Campus. West Allis is trying to draw more students to their campus with some new programs.
The hot topic is right now is our welding program. We're currently redoing our welding, our A building, to expand our heavy plate welding, and we're looking at some robotics.
West has a few programs that the other locations do not offer.
We have some unique programs here. One is our funeral service program. We have the only one in the state.
Nick Breetzman, the funeral director at Church and Chapel in Cudahy, Wisconsin, is an alumni of the funeral services program at West.
I went into the funeral service program because it was something I grew up with, and it just seemed like it would be a good fit for me, and I had done my apprenticeship already, so I knew that it was something that I would be good at. So,
like many funeral directors, the service seems to run in his blood.
I grew up at a funeral home. I worked there as a kid, mowing lawns and stuff like that, and my dad retired just a couple years ago from being a funeral director, so it's just something I was very comfortable with growing up.
The West program, albeit the only one in the state, helps students make sure they are ready to assist the family and friends of those who have passed.
The MATC program gave me a lot more education than I needed to do my job, which is a good thing because I feel really well-rounded when I go to work every day.
So there you have it. The West Allis campus is a quiet little gem that gets its students ready for the world around them.
Welcome back. After two great packages about the West Allis campus, I am pleased to introduce my guest, who was featured in that last package, Vice President of the West Allis campus, Mr. Al Pinkney. Mr. Pickney, thank you so much for being here today on
Thanks for having me.
Stormwatch. I appreciate it. Now, Mr. Pickney, what brought you to MATC and specifically the West Dallas campus?
Well, I came to MATC in 2000 as the Director of Financial Aid, and after serving as Vice President of Student Services for a while, got the opportunity to move out to the West Campus to work more in a community atmosphere, working with our stakeholders and business partners in the community just to really find out what it is that we actually need to do for the community.
Excellent, good. And being Vice President of college has to be a pretty interesting yet demanding and rewarding job. Now, if I had to ask, what is the average day of Mr. Vice President of the West Dallas campus entail?
It's to make sure that, first of all, our students are safe on campus, that the learning environment is one which that is conducive to learning. I'm involved with a lot of meetings with the Chamber, with the Rotary, involved with a lot of committees, just doing a lot of community work, and really being out in the community, finding out what it is that they need for MATC to do for our students.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And out at the West Dallas campus, along with some of the other campuses at MATC, we offer the welding program, which is a really popular program. Why do you think it's growing so rapidly out at the West Dallas campus? What makes it so popular compared to the other programs you guys offer?
Well, I think we're unique in a lot of instances. We're right in the center of a residential community, and I think that gives us a competitive edge because it's really convenient off of the transportation lines. The individuals in the community, they feel a part of the campus, so I think they get more engaged in the things that we do, and we feel a sense of responsibility back to them.
Absolutely. And the West Dallas campus, I know, offers 22 associate degree programs, 8 technical diplomas, along with 2 certificates. Now, aside from the welding program and the funeral services program, what are some of the other popular programs out at the West Dallas campus?
We offer a lot of bilingual programs. We have a bilingual child development program, dietary tech program. Our ESL program is pretty popular at the West Campus, so it's growing community, and we have to cater to all of our constituents out in that area. So
good. And along with the community, and MATC really thrives to benefit the community through all their campuses. Now, with the West Dallas campus, what exactly are some of the specifics that the West Dallas campus brings and benefits the community?
Our education that we offer our students, we are responsible to educate the community to go back into the workforce and be productive citizens within the community. So that's why it's so important for us to listen to our stakeholders to find out what it is our business partners really need. So that way we develop programs and curriculum to make sure that we train students the way that what they need to be educated for.
Absolutely. And what I hear you guys are making some new additions to the campus. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the new additions you're working on?
Sure. We're remodeling our A building right now to increase our heavy metal welding program. I think one of the things in the future is our robotics is expanding a lot, so we're doing some things with our A building in that regard as well. We also, our interior design program, we just moved back to the West Campus about a year ago, so we're looking at trying to expand that as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, Mr. Pinkney, I want to thank you so much for joining me on Stormwatch today. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
I know you, being Vice President, you have a very busy schedule, so I really appreciate that. Next up on Stormwatch, we go back to the West Dallas campus with the student government there trying to make the school healthier one student at a time. After that, Stormwatch presents a modern interpretation of the poem Dreamland by the master of macabre Edgar Allan Poe.
At MATC's West Campus, the student government is well known. This year's theme, the Year of Good Health. Hannah Stuckenberg is the student government's president.
The student government is the official voice of the students. In student government, we try to make college life as exciting and fun as possible for college students. The purpose of the Year of the Good Health is to help students develop better health habits and to show them that it doesn't have to be hard work or boring. Like tomorrow we're going to be having a hula hoop contest, so that can show them that exercise can actually be fun and enjoyable versus just a lot of work.
As a treasurer, my duties are to keep track of the budget of what we spend and how we spend it and where it's coming from, where it goes to, what we spend it on, and how we spend it. The campus vice president here, Mr. Pickney at West Allis, has been very supportive of our Year of the Good Health, and he has also been able to bring in some speakers about healthy eating, dieting, nutrition, exercise, and just how to live day by day without making it any harder than it actually is. Another member in the SGA that's in the dietetic tech program and also works in the cafeteria has been able to promote more healthy foods such as fruits and vegetables, yogurt, and hummus.
The Year of Good Health was implemented to encourage students as well as faculty to make healthier choices in terms of lifestyle. Alex Morales is the SG's parliamentarian and has been a member for 2 years. He is a strong believer in the Year of Good Health.
As a student government member, I've been having the best times of my life. We have the Welcome Center in which we get to know so many new students and wonderful people. I personally think that this year has been awesome. We had a hypnotist in the main show. He hypnotized many people. However, after the show, he made a private group hypnotist, and it was beautiful. He just helped us out with the eating and also with the smoking. Personally, he helped me a lot with the smoking. I used to be a heavy smoker, and then when I saw him, I got hypnotized by him, and then he even helped me out for it. It was beautiful. Now I don't smoke, and I don't want to smoke, and I don't think I will never smoke again.
At our Welcome Back barbecue for the Year of the Good Health, we handed students these activity and food tracker booklets. Inside it, there's just different areas where students can write their different meals they ate, keep track of the calories, as well as keep track of the activity they're doing and how many calories they burn. A really neat thing on the back of this booklet is actually a part that shows you different activities and how many calories you can burn per 10 minutes. We also handed out these bookmarkers to the students. It just has different short activities that the students can do, and many of the exercises are actually done from a chair. So students can actually do exercises while they're studying, and they can just do them in quick, short sessions, rather than one long, stretched out session.
According to the student government members, the Year of the Good Health theme has reached its share of students. Along with quick and easy exercise options, the SG has pushed to get healthier snacks in the vending machines. Many of these current snacks are filled with sugars, preservatives, and other chemicals that are unhealthy. By making these subtle changes, the student government believes they can change the health of the school, the state, and ultimately the country.
By a route, obscure and lonely, haunted by ill angels only, where an eidolon named Night on a black throne reigns upright. I have reached these lands but newly from an ultimate Timothuli, from a wild clime that lieth sublime, out of space, out of time. Bottomless vales and boundless floods, and chasms and caves and titan woods, with forms that no man can discover for the tears that drip all over. Mountains toppling evermore into seas without a shore. Seas that restlessly aspire, surging unto skies of fire. Lakes that endlessly outspread their lone waters, lone and dead, their still waters still and chilly with the snows of the lolling lily. By the lakes that thus outspread their lone waters, lone and dead, There sad waters, sad and chilly, with the snows of the lolling lily. By the mountain, near the river, murmuring lowly, murmuring ever. By the grey woods, by the swamp, where the toad and the newt encamp. By the dismal tarns and pools, where dwell the ghouls. By each spot the most unholy, in each nook most melancholy, there the travellers meet aghast, sheeted memories of the past. Shrouded forms that start and sigh as they pass the wanderer by. White-robed forms of friends long given in agony to the earth and heaven. For the heart whose woes are legion, 'tis a peaceful, soothing region. For the spirit that walks in shadow, 'tis an El Dorado. But the traveler traveling through it may not, dare not openly view it. Never its mysteries are exposed to the weak human eye unclosed. So wills its king, who hath forbid the uplifting of the fringed lid. And thus the sad soul that here passes beholds it but through darkened glasses. By a route obscure and lonely, haunted by ill angels only, where an eidolon named Night on a black throne reigns upright. I have wandered home but newly from this ultimate dim Thule.
Lord help my poor soul. That was a fine take on a Poe classic. But switching to a lighter note, here's what's happening around MATC this week. Lots of events this week at MATC, some notable ones. Thursday, November 6th, at the West Dallas campus, a chat with MATC Executive Vice President and Provost Dr. Vicki J. Martin. That goes from noon to 1, and then the next day, November 7th, there's a job fair for students right here at the downtown campus. That goes from noon to 3. If you are a student looking for work in the career you're studying, I'd take advantage of that job fair if I were you. Outside the studio, I live a pretty interesting life. I've come and gone and met plenty of colorful characters. However, last week I ran into an old friend of mine who happens to be a detective in the force, and he just so happened to need my help on a mysterious case. Detective, tell me what you know.
I'll tell you what we know. We know as much as you did in high school before you dropped out. Nothing.
Listen, Detective, what happened between me and you back then is in the past.
What happened between you and my ex-wife?
Hey, your ex-wife was a beautiful woman and a damn good detective, and we can both agree on that.
Yeah. It's a shame what happened with her, the American Eagle ride at Six Flags, and the giant stuffed wombat.
Like I said, Detective, it's in the past. I'm here to do a job. I need to find out why there's a dead hooker on top of my parking garage.
Look, it's one of those Bayview hipster hookers. Whoever knows what kills them.
Well, determined by the place of the body on top of the parking garage, I would say it's safe to say that this hooker was murdered on top of this parking garage.
Brilliant.
Also, by the place of the hammer in her hand, I would say the murder weapon was most likely a hammer.
You're a genius.
Which means one thing. We have our murder weapon. You know what, Detective? I'm gonna go on a hunch right here and say, we're not just dealing with a murder here, Detective, but a murder-suicide. And by murder-suicide, I mean suicide.
Wow.
What can I say, Detective?
You know, I really can't stand you. but I sure do respect you.
Until next time, Detective.
God, I just love that man.
If I hadn't decided to be in television, I would probably have joined the force. In another life, maybe. Well, that about does it for this episode of Stormwatch. For all of us here at MATC and Milwaukee Public Television, I'm Tanner Burke, reminding you that the best way to communicate with a fish is to simply drop them a line. Have an extravagant week, Milwaukee, and we'll see you back here next Monday.